stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
There's nobody here to call the roll.
Here.
You call the roll?
Sure.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Note,
Here.
Councilman Mr. Wenheim. Here. Mr. Creighton.
Here. Okay, so,
Mr. McCarthy. Here.
I sent you all a memo because I spoke with Mr. Creighton the other night. We need to discuss the Montclair Avenue situation because no one seems to know, at least the public doesn't seem to know, the results of what study we had done. Also, I've asked the Rubies to come over here. We need to determine whether we want to hear the Montclair Avenue application, and if we did, we would then send it over to SECRA, so we need to find out if anybody wants to send it to SECRA. And that also goes for the sports complex, who are very anxious to begin their role. So is everybody in favor of sending both of these to SECRA?
This is open.
Yeah, I would send them both to secret.
Okay, so the Rubies will be over here, and we'll tell them to do that. Did you want to, the litigation matter I had written about, town attorney has now said that he would prefer to do that at the next work session, put it off. So we have Mr. Crowley here to go through the Montclair Avenue study.
Frank just walked in.
Okay. Frank, we're going to send both of those matters, Montclair Avenue and the sports complex, to SECRA.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks.
So you'll know that. Mr. Crowley.
I don't know if we're sending them for POSDEC, we're sending them to secret, if we
That's what-
decide
yeah, right.
what they're gonna be.
They'll decide.
Yeah.
It wasn't a Freudian slip, was it?
Well, we asked for, we said in our memo on the garden apartments that it was a type 1 action, and I thought you were going to just
No, no.
accept
Both of
that.
them?
No, the Prospect Sports is, I was speaking too fast. Prospect Sports was supposed to be a neg deck.
Okay, that was my
Just the
concern.
apartment
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
So you wanted me to discuss the
Yes,
study?
I have it in front of me. Yeah.
Okay. So phase 1 of the study began in March, approximately 2 months. We took mainly volumes, counts, and speeds at strategic locations.
Talk into the mic. I hope you get
Sure.
any issue.
At strategic locations throughout the Montclair Avenue study area, which is Montclair, Rutherford, Arlington, Jefferson, Arlington, north and south of Rutherford Avenue. So a study was done for phase 1 with the road open, and then there was a study done for phase 2 with Montclair Avenue closed, just north of the highway yard. The results of the study showed basically that 800 cars that were on Montclair were displaced to Arlington. It was my recommendation in the study that, Montclair Avenue was designed as a collector street to carry both through traffic and local traffic, and just as much as Arlington was, or Jefferson, for that matter, Sunny Road. All these streets are north-south collectors designed to feed points north from State Road 25.
So Collector Street means it just carries traffic.
Carries
from one
local
point
and
to-
local and through traffic.
Okay.
Okay, and that, I wouldn't recommend a closure based on the fact that, this is designed as a collector street with the way it was designed, as well as Arlington and Jefferson. I do not recommend creating a cul-de-sac on this road.
Do you want to go over your your speed data here?
Yeah, the speed data basically shows no significant difference before or after the closure.
What is 65%, 85, what's the percentile?
85th percentile is the speed at which 85% of the traffic is traveling, okay? So although Rutherford shows, I think, like an 85th percentile, 34 miles per hour, Arlington, all the north-south collectors, Arlington, Montclair, Jefferson, all show a speeding issue. I think the 85th percentile there is about 40 miles an hour.
And which one? Arlington Avenue is 42 miles per hour.
Yeah, okay, they're all about 40, okay, those north-south collectors. So there are speeding issues on all of those streets.
What's the speed limit?
30. Town speed limit there, 30. Rutherford shows 34, and these numbers didn't change whether the
Montclair
road was...
Avenue shows 39.
Yeah, again, they're around 40, so they're all right around 30. Montclair Avenue may show 39. You want exact numbers?
Well, I have it in the report here.
Right, exactly.
So you can't average them all out because there are specific patterns to specific streets. So if I lived on Rutherford, Arlington, I'd be concerned that it's 42 miles an hour,
Right,
which is 12 miles above the speed limit.
that's right,
Montclair Avenue was 9 miles above the speed limit.
right,
Jefferson, the same, 39.
right.
So having said that, what does that mean? Having said that there was speeding on these 1,
Well, it
2,
means that
3, 4,
there-
5, 6, 7.
I mean, that's not unlike, we're having speeding issues on many roads within the town of Smithtown.
I was just gonna ask you, is it, this is not abnormal at all?
No, it's not abnormal at all. I mean, we're having issues, you know, we get calls all over the town of Smithtown of people that complain about speeding, and it's an ongoing issue throughout the town, you know. Some of these collector streets, I would say the average speeds on them are 35 to 42 miles an hour, sometimes even higher than that. So it's not uncommon that the speeds we're seeing. You know, enforcement, unfortunately, if we got enforcement there, would help to, you know, to lower those speeds somewhat.
What's interesting here on, you have speed data during the closure.
Right,
On Montclair Avenue, the speed drops by 4 miles per hour.
Right,
I
right.
don't know how significant that is.
right,
On Rutherford, it drops by 1 mile per hour.
right.
Arlington, 1 mile. So they really roughly stay in that
insignificant.
same
Yeah, pretty
category of
insignificant.
40 miles
Yeah.
per hour.
Yeah, the speed, the closure didn't really affect the speeds significantly. The only thing it really affected was the traffic volumes on Arlington south of Rutherford. North of Rutherford, if you see, the volumes are virtually identical. So it does show through traffic. You are gaining through traffic from Montclair Avenue, traveling eastward down Rutherford, and then back on to Arlington.
Okay, could you open that, your brochure, unless you know them by heart?
Mhm.
During the closure, would you explain this page? Change from before closure?
Which page
Maybe-
is that?
Maybe you got them out of, okay. What are the counts prior to closure? Let's talk about that, so everybody knows. This is being
Okay.
disseminated, as you well know.
The counts prior to closure,
Right.
it shows what it is. Montclair Avenue, 1,600 cars a day. Rutherford, 1,300 cars a day. Arlington South, which is south of Rutherford. Okay, we wanted to, because
Right,
we wanted to
right.
monitor through traffic from Rutherford on into Arlington. So Arlington South is about 2,200 cars a day. Jefferson was 1,300 cars a day. Orchard was 528 cars a day. And Arlington north of Rutherford is 2,100 cars a day, roughly.
So from what I see here, it's approximately 500 or 600 more cars on auto or traveling vehicles, 600 more on Arlington north and south than Montclair Avenue.
Now, you're getting 800 more after the
800
closure.
more.
After the closure. You're getting on Arlington north of Rutherford.
No, but I'm
Oh,
saying-
you mean, you're
Prior to
comparing
the
the volume.
closure, yeah.
Yes, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and so, after the closure, you go to the 800, make that 3,000 cars,
Yeah, Arlington north becomes 3,000.
and Arlington South becomes 3,000.
Arlington south does not become 3,000.
Oh, it doesn't get the 800?
No, it doesn't, there's virtually no change, because you're getting, Arlington North is seeing traffic from the residents that are accessing Rutherford Avenue, all of those dead-end streets, Jackson, St. James Avenue, Montclair Avenue, and Rutherford Street, as well as some of the other streets down there. Jackson, I believe, Clark is another couple of them, Orchard as well. So those residents that were accessing Montclair to access that area, which is what it was designed to do, are now using Arlington to access that, to access their residences on those streets. So if you notice, Rutherford, the traffic goes from 1,300 cars a day to 1,000 after the closure. So you're still seeing 1,000 cars a day on Rutherford even after the closure of Montclair, which means those were all local trips at that point. There's no through traffic left there. So you still have 1,000 local trips on Rutherford with the closure. It goes up to 1,300 after the closure. I mean, prior to the closure.
I'm missing it.
Prior?
Prior to the closure,
Prior to the closure, we're at 1,300 cars a day. We close Montclair Avenue, it goes down to 1,000 cars a day.
oh, I see, okay.
Right? So my point is, you're still seeing 1,000 cars a day at that counter on Rutherford, even with the closure of Montclair. So that means all that local traffic accounts for 1,000 cars. So one thing the study doesn't show is the residents that might access Montclair Avenue aren't picked up on the counter on Rutherford. So by looking at the counter on Montclair, it looks like there's roughly 30% to 35% through traffic on Rutherford and Montclair that are accessing Arlington, which is slightly higher than normal, but not too much higher than.
Well, Frank was just telling me the comprehensive master plan for this type of street is 4,000 cars a day, so you're like 25% below
Yeah.
what the category is
Yeah,
for a collector street.
the volumes are not uncommon. The through traffic is not uncommon. It's not uncharacteristic. This is designed to carry through traffic. It's a collector street. It's not a local street. So, and there are many streets in St. James that are experiencing the same thing, that they're experiencing through traffic, due to some of the congestion on Jericho Turnpike, on Main Street.
Is that truck excluded that road, Montclair?
No.
Not at all, north or
There,
south?
there is, I believe there is an exclusion there, but there is an exclusion there. I'm not sure the
Going
weight limit.
north?
And I'll go in both directions, there is. There is an exclusion there.
Okay, truck excluded.
Yeah, there is.
And does your data, wasn't prepared because I didn't know you were coming to discuss this, but does your data have any indication that the dealerships are using that road to test their
Yeah,
cars? The residents, and I think they're right, that I believe that probably is the case. And that seems to be a major issue for them
Yeah.
with the speeding, not just through traffic or residential commuter trips back and forth.
Right.
The dealership.
I understand, and it's a good question. Unfortunately, I do have some data, but we purchased new counters in traffic safety, which don't have the road tubes, okay? It's a lot easier not to have to install them, they don't get ripped up and such. Unfortunately, they didn't give us accurate data for the trucks. We did have road tubes north of Arlington, which showed, I think it was less than 5% truck traffic on Arlington. However, I don't have accurate counts for Montclair. We do have counters out there with road tubes right now to try and get a proper classification. I only have a couple days data. It looks like you're about I think actually 6%, could be 6 to 8% because it was like 2% unclassified. But it's not a lot of data at this point. We want to continue doing that just to see what those numbers
So
come up.
6 to 8% is what? Truck traffic?
Yeah, that's just based on a couple of days' study. So these road tubes are much more accurate than the new counters that we had without the road tubes. And we weren't aware that it wasn't picking that up. I did have my guys checking every single day to make sure that it was picking up data, but they weren't aware that it wasn't accurately picking up the truck classification or the vehicle classification. So.
Mitch, when you have the counter there for the mileage, so you've averaged 39 miles an hour on Montclair.
Mm-hmm.
Was that counter machine able to pick up the speeders versus, so if it's a 39 as an average, were you able to find that there were more speeders than not? I mean,
Yeah,
it seems
sure.
to be, a lot of the
Sure it
testimony
does.
seemed to be about
I mean,
speeding on that road.
Let me explain something. Like, we throw these, 85th percentiles that are very customary in our field, to give you those numbers. However, It doesn't mean that no one's speeding on that
I mean, I don't
road.
mean speeding 39 miles an hour.
Right,
I
right.
the testimony
yeah.
seemed to say 80, 90.
I don't think there's anything going there.
Was
I
there
don't
a way
I
to
don't
pick
have that
that
data
up,
in front
or-
of me. I can take a look at it and let you know. What I can tell you, though, is that peak hour traffic on Rutherford, for instance, which is, through traffic there, is about 100 cars in the afternoon sometime. So you're seeing at 100 cars a day in that hour. Okay, if 85%, 50% of the traffic is speeding, that's still going to be 15 cars.
And again, I
So-
don't mean speeding 39 miles an hour.
Right, well, I
It
mean,
seems to be they're talking about
that means
80 miles an
15
hour.
cars an hour are going 35 or greater.
Okay.
So
But you can, I think what she's asking, you can tell
yeah, I can
the
break that
maximum
down.
speed,
That's
might
right.
have been 67,
Sure.
might have been 3
Yeah,
cars
the
that
real
did that.
speeding
Yeah, I
that
can
that
give you
we've been
those
hearing
numbers.
testimony
I don't
about.
have them here, I'm sorry, but I can definitely get you those numbers.
And
And,
could I ask you a question?
sure.
You may or may not have the answer to this. Eddie made reference to it. Truck exclusions. Are there truck exclusions on Montclair going into Montclair? And is there one on Arlington?
Arlington, not sure if there's one on Arlington. I think there's truck exclusions on Arlington as well. Tommy, do you recall if there's truck
I
exclusions
know
on?
there's some, I don't know where it starts
Yeah.
though, because you
And
got
if there's not, should there not be?
Well,
Or
first
could
of all,
they?
it doesn't entail
delivery.
local delivery and whatnot. So I mean, the highway, truck traffic, in other words, they're allowed to access that road to do, as well as any other, local delivery or anything like that. So you're still going to get trucks on those roads, and I don't think it's a
And you got the fuel
significant-
depot, which is local delivery, you can't stop it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So you're
And
gonna,
steel
you're gonna,
place.
you're gonna, just by the nature of that road, you're gonna get some truck traffic on it. But I mean, 5% to 8%, I don't think is outlandish. But again, I'll get you more accurate numbers on that.
Mitch, and this might be crazy, but was it ever considered to put a red light on that road to slow down traffic, an actual traffic light? Or is that more
No.
aggravation than it's worth?
No, yeah, I mean, first of all, there's no intersection to put a traffic light there where people are complaining of speeding. There are certain traffic calming things that you could do there to try and,
Like the bumps?
slow. No, like a chicane, you could experiment.
What is that?
Which, it's essentially a curve in the roadway, to be simplistic. It kind of curves the roadway to have people curtail their speed. So that's something I think that could be investigated.
There's no intersections there, just the one going into the town facility, right?
Yeah.
Well, but I would suspect that almost every collector street in this town has the same average speed dynamics.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
Do you
every,
agree
but
with
I would
that?
I would agree that, like I had said before, that many of the other collector streets in town, the average speeds are going to be close to that 40 miles an hour for the 85th percentile.
Then you
If
do
not,
a-
if not higher.
Did you not do a study because of the gentleman that keeps writing about Autumn Avenue?
Yes.
Autumn, and what did you find there? Same calculation?
Actually, no. I found lower speeds on Autumn Avenue. I didn't find the same calculations there. That's a bit of a different street as well, but I didn't find a speeding problem there at all.
So
But
would
I,
you
I've
s-
done I've done many other studies throughout the town and found higher speeds. I just completed a study in Kings Park on St. John Avenue, of which I got 45 plus, 47 miles an hour for an 85th percentile speed.
Yeah, but St. John Land is a somewhat different road. It's a more open road than,
It's wider, but it's
Yeah.
still a collector. It's,
Yeah.
It all comes down to enforcement. If you're gonna get these speeds down, you gotta have enforcement. And
Oh, I
unfortunately,
see
we
it
don't
on
have
my street.
enforcement.
King Arthur's, I mean, there are people that are
Yeah.
going way over the speed
Well,
limit.
and all those streets up by you too, Cambon Avenue,
Mhm.
Astor, Hobson.
Yeah, nobody's going 25, 30
Yeah,
miles.
they're not, and those are all designed similarly to Montclair and Arlington.
Mhm. Those
You
are,
know,
what did you call them, pass-through?
those are collectors.
Collectors.
Yeah, and they're accessing all those points north in St. James community.
Mhm.
You know, so Montclair was designed as all those were.
So, you have
Another
a
letter to the
conclusion here.
commissioner.
Well, you know what? I speak to John Kennedy about that, And it seems there's only, if I'm doing my math right, there's only 300 to 400 cops a day in all of Suffolk County on each tour. There's apparently only 1,600 cops available for patrol.
Not directing that at me,
Well, Mr. Commissioner, maybe.
Mr. Ex-Commissioner, 22 years ago, so let's be realistic.
So that's not a lot of police officers on the streets
There are not.
in all
There are
of
not.
Suffolk County.
Suffolk is definitely not over-policed, that's for sure.
But if he gave me data. I think there's approximately 1,500 to 1,600, probably closer to 1,500, officers available for patrol every day. So I know, do they do 3 shifts here? So you figure it out.
Well, what we do to try and aid them, and I stated that in my letter to you guys, is that, you know, we forward that data over to the precincts so that we can try and narrow down for them when the best time is to go there,
Right.
you know, to get the most speeders. You know, so they're not just taking a shot in the dark by just going down there. They can look and say, well, you know, on the average, we're getting, whatever it is, 20 speeders between this hour and this hour, and if we go down there, we should be
And
able to.
when Mitchell does send that over to them, it's been my experience that they do follow through on it.
Yeah, no, they do, they do.
They've been up there. They've been up there a couple times.
Mitch.
Yeah.
Last few weeks.
I don't know if you need state enabling legislation or if it's a town road, you don't need anything, but I remember one time I was somewhere where they, on the side of the street was a device to catch and ticket speeders. Now, I know this because
Right.
that's how I learned. I got a letter in the mail, and I'm not talking big speeding, like 5 miles, 10 miles over the.
And this was
speed
in New
limit.
York State?
No, this,
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you the story. This was actually in Florida. There was a vehicle on the side of the road, and it was set up to catch speeders. And when I say speeders, it was over 40 miles, 42, 43.
Right.
And they would ticket you, and they would charge you. However, it was not constitutional because they didn't get state enabling legislation.
Uh-huh.
Now, as a town entity, would that word not get around, that something was out there like that? And would that be, something like that be allowed
Sure.
in the town?
I mean, that's what, I don't,
That
I
might,
don't, the
that
answer is I
might
don't
send a
know.
message.
Yeah, I don't know, but what you're talking about is changing the perception of the drivers within the town, that if they speed, they will get a ticket, and I think that's what has to happen.
Well, we don't have enough police.
Right.
I don't know if that's something that is out there and can be done.
Well, I'd never heard of it in New York State anywhere, you know.
Well-
so-
Well, essentially, that's really what cameras do with red lights.
And this was just
It
for
changes
speeding,
your
it wasn't for
perception
red
because-
light, this is just for going over the speed limit, which seems to be the issue
Right,
in that
right,
area.
right.
I mean, I don't know if that's something that can
Like
be
something
done
I could
with
definitely
town
look
home
into,
rule.
I just
Wasn't the
don't.
state looking into that for school zones?
Stop signs too, they were looking into.
Stop signs I heard about, I haven't heard about speeders.
All of that does change your
Well,
perception.
it does,
You
and
get a
I don't
summons,
mean you
you
have to do it
change.
forever. What I'm saying is, once that's out there for 2 or 3 months and the message gets out for the car dealers that are speeding, that it could deliver a message. And I don't know if you can, it's our street, so I don't believe you need any state legislation.
Right.
You would know better, but maybe that's a
It's
rentable
first,
machine.
first I've heard of it. I don't know that we'd be able to do something on a town level before it went through state legislation.
I don't know
But it's
either,
something I could look into.
Isn't it home rule on your own?
Well, I don't even know about these devices, so, I mean, I'd have to look into, you know,
Well,
different states and,
yeah.
yeah, I'll call Florida. Where was your vacation there, so?
Well, it was on the east coast of Florida.
On the east
In the
coast.
town of Juneau,
Okay.
and it was on US
So,
1.
okay,
But what happened was that even if you have a rent-a-car, the ticket goes back to the rent-a-car, and the fee is charged by the local government agency, and I'm sure they made a lot of money, too.
Right.
And also, they sent a message, which is loud and clear. And the money is one thing, and yeah, that's a great thing. But you tell me who's not slowing down now and not stopping for traffic lights, because you do.
Right.
You don't want to get a ticket, you don't want to spend the
Right.
money. It doesn't go on your license, but you don't want to spend the money.
Right.
It might send a message.
right. No, it's a formidable idea. There's other issues, I guess, that can get involved as far as the police and You know, it's their enforcement right now, so.
Yeah, well, we don't have enough police, so that's the only reason why I bring
Right.
that up. That's a vehicle that just sits there
Right.
and monitors speed.
Right.
And then sends out to the vehicle.
Do you want to read your conclusion so that everybody hears it and people
Sure.
are watching this on the internet and the TV?
There we go, sorry. Yes, so my conclusion, Montclair Avenue is designed as a collector street. Collectors typically funnel traffic from residential streets to other collectors and arterials. Collectors typically carry both local and through traffic. Montclair Avenue provides access to and from New York State Route 25 to residential and collector streets, such as Caldwell Avenue, Montclair Avenue north of Rutherford Street, Jackson Avenue, St. James Avenue South, Rutherford Street, Orchard Avenue, and Arlington Avenue to points north of Rutherford Street. Closing Montclair Avenue will divert local and through traffic to other town streets. After the Montclair Avenue closure, our findings show local and through traffic are primarily diverted to Arlington Avenue. Arlington Avenue is a collector street serving much the same purpose as Montclair Avenue. Using sound traffic engineering judgment based on the findings within the limits of the study area and the overall functionality of the roads as they were designed, this department cannot recommend the installation of a cul-de-sac on Montclair Avenue north of the highway yard as proposed.
Okay, thank you. Anybody got questions?
No, I'm done.
Okay,
Thank you,
thanks.
Mitch.
Thanks.
Good. Matthew, is this a personnel matter here? Everybody received, maybe it's not. If not, I just will advise the board to take a look at it, and we could talk about it another day. Did you all receive an exempt contract?
Yes, yeah, yesterday, yeah.
Well, I think we ought to review that and have that for another discussion on another day.
Okay, well, if we're dealing with specific people, then it would be executive.
Okay, so then
If you're just dealing with it in
we'll talk
general.
about this at the next meeting. Do you have anything?
No.
Okay, just wanted to get those matters out of the way. Montclair Avenue and the ball fields, you're sending it to secret. Litigation matter, that's disposed of, and we've done the Montclair Avenue. So, if you're all okay with it, I'll move to close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.